Well, folks, we're just a few days away. Yes, we are so close. We're just this close to one of the biggest weekends of the wrestling calendar year. And since we're this close, you can see it, you can almost smell it, and you can practically taste it. You can practically feel the juices reaching the tip of your tongue, those satisfying juices reaching the tip of your tongue, rolling down the back of your throat, and you say, more please, more juices on my tip, rolling down my throat. You are ready to witness wrestling fans from all over the world, as well as many wrestlers, descend upon Inglewood, California, and spend multiple days in the deepest, darkest recesses, the crevices, pounding the special places, finding those right G-spots. You want to make sure that you're able to witness this properly. And especially if you are going to spend multiple days in the deepest, darkest crevices, recesses, and special places of really any location, you want to make sure that you have the right amount of lube, the right amount of batteries, the right batteries, and make sure you have the right setting on that particular strap, on that particular... You want to make sure that the buzz is in the air, because you really don't want to get to the climax and have a... instead of a huge, massive, throbbing explosion of excitement, witnessing all these fans and all these wrestlers achieving what they have dreamed about for so goddamn long by spending so many days in one particular location and finding all those different spots. But you know who's really going to enjoy all those people in the deepest, darkest crevices and recesses and special places of Inglewood, California? You know who's going to feel it the most? Mayor James T. Butts Jr. Yes, Mayor Butts is going to feel all of your excitement. Anyway, I'm John Rethlin with my WrestleMania 39 Night 1 and 2 predictions. Let me know your predictions in the comments, please, provided that anybody is still watching after that very gross intro. I gotta be honest, there are some matches I'm looking forward to, some I'm not, and as of this recording, it's about Tuesday afternoon. 13 matches have been announced, and they couldn't possibly put the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal from SmackDown and switch it to Mania to give everybody a payday. It's not like they have checks, notes, oh yeah, record-breaking profits, and they could do right by Lashley and LA Knight and a few others. But nevertheless, this is going to be a big deal. I do have to say, though, looking at this card, they could have just made this a one-night event. Even though I'm happy some people will get a Mania payday and get a Mania moment, some of these matches don't belong on Mania. They just don't. Parts of this feel like a big deal. Parts of this also feel like Mania 20, where they were just putting multiple person matches on the card just to get people on there. So let's crack on with Austin Theory versus John Cena. If they had Cena for multiple dates and he was going to be around for a while to defend the U.S. title in between his Hollywood commitments, I'd say give it to Cena. Cena could put over Montez Ford at a pay-per-view or premium live event, and you could make a star out of that. But I think Theory's going to win. And I'm no fan of Theory. I stand by that. I find him boring, but he is good in the ring. But at this point, Cena is Teflon. He could lose and it'd be fine. Theory's going to win. Theory will win, keep the U.S. title, and Montez Ford could be one to eventually take it from him down the road. Then we get to Seth Pheasant Rollins versus Logan Paul. I am no fan of Logan Paul, but I will admit he has taken to this like, well, really very few other outside people. Bad Bunny, in particular, is one recent one that surprised me. I'm still eating crow to this day. I don't understand his music, but he's very popular, and he absolutely respects the hell out of wrestling. And Logan Paul has definitely done a great job getting people to hate him. It's easy to do since the NFT scam and abandoning the pig and the Japanese forest thing and the fact that he's Logan Paul and Jake Paul is an equally, moronic idiot. But Logan Paul definitely has improved, improved the status, I guess, of anybody coming in from outside of wrestling. It's going to be a highly athletic match, but if Seth doesn't win, then they need to send him away for a few months. Seth will win. Logan could show up at Money in the Bank. He could show up at SummerSlam. It wouldn't really matter. He doesn't need to appear on every goddamn show. Seth is there every single week. They're going to be going nuts. Whoa. And that's going to be something that'll be interesting to see, just how loud the crowd is. But Seth has got to win. So I'm picking Seth. Brock Lesnar versus Edward James Olmos. This needs to be maybe 2 minutes, and it needs to be Brock winning decisively, because Edward James Olmos is not good. I don't care if this is Brock's last Mania match. have him destroy Edward James almost, because he's basically this generation's Giant Gonzalez. Nice guy, looks impressive staying in the ring, and then the bell rings, and then you realize, shit, he can't do anything. Have Brock beat him. They should have had Lashley included in this. It could have been 7 minutes with Brock and Lashley doing 90% of the stuff, Edward James almost doing a few things, and that's it. Brock needs to win. Just have Brock win. Because if almost wins, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Charlotte versus Rhea, SmackDown Women's Championship match. If Rhea does not win, then all that build is for naught. All that time she spent in the Rumble, and all the building of the fact that, Charlotte beat her at Mania 36, which was still monumentally stupid because it led to nothing. Just have Rhea win. Have Rhea win, have it be a 15-minute match, and because they can deliver. As much as I don't care for Charlotte's character, she can deliver in the ring when she wants to, and Rhea winning would be the right call. And you could go in multiple directions with her as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I mean, hell, the brand split's already practically dead anyway, and I don't see them reinforcing it after this particular Mania, but Rhea needs to win. Becky, Trish, and Lita against Damage Control, Bayley, Io, Sky, and Dakota Kai. 6-woman tag team match. Becky and Lita are still the tag team champions. Unless they have Trish turn, Becky, Trish, and Lita will win. And because if she turns, then okay, what are you going to do? Have Becky and Lita lose on the following Raw? Or do you wait and have Trish turn on the Raw after Mania? And then you go maybe with Trish and Becky, or you have Trish and Bayley have a match, before you have Trish turn. There are multiple directions you could go if you want to give Trish one last run, even though 2019 was supposed to be her last run. Unless they want to give Damage Control a big win, which I think they need, I'm thinking that Becky, Trish, and Lita will win. Dakota Kai will probably take the fall, because that's kind of what she seems to be. So there you go. I'm all for Trish getting one last run, though, and facing Becky and then facing Bayley, when Trish realizes the error of her ways and faces off against Bayley at SummerSlam, because that would be a big deal, and that would be a big dream match for Bayley. Bianca Belair against Asuka, Raw Women's Championship match. If Asuka doesn't win, then this whole change into Kana, or as close to Kana as we're going to get, was for naught. It was pointless. And I love Bianca. And I was impressed with her athleticism at first in NXT, but I wasn't all that into her character. But let me tell you, she won me over in the past couple years, beat Sasha at Mania 37, yes, now Mercedes Moné, and beat Becky at last year's Mania. She's held it for almost a year. It's time for Asuka to have it. And I say one last run because Asuka can probably still go and probably is still in great shape. I mean, definitely looks like she's in great shape. Boy, howdy does she ever. But she could have one last run with the Raw Women's Championship because she's got other business ventures and maybe she wants to hang it up. Because she's been a long time on the shelf recovering from an injury and probably taking some personal time. So if she wants to have one last run, I'm all for it. Because if Bianca beats her, then there's nothing for Asuka to do. Because then it's just like, oh boy, she was in the Rumble and she had this big comeback and all this, and she's been bleeding blue stuff, and what's the point? What's the point if Asuka doesn't win? Because, yeah, Bianca holding it for longer than a year, I guess would be kind of a cool number, but it would just be padding the stats. Bianca could win the title back later. She could battle Rhea at SummerSlam and win the Smackdown Women's Championship because the brand split doesn't mean anything. Owens and Zayn against the Usos, Undisputed Tag Team Championship match. If this doesn't main event night one, I would be very, very surprised. And as of right now, as of this recording, they haven't finalized the full cards yet. So Owens and Zayn need to win. End the bloodline, or end this part of the bloodline, and the Usos' record-breaking Tag Team Championship run. Because it's like it's built to a crescendo. Owens and Zayn don't even have to hold it past SummerSlam, or maybe even past Money in the Bank. They need to put a cap on this thing. Put a cap on this storyline, put a period on this part, and go from there. Because the Usos would have to go back to Roman, and they could have this closed Mania night 1, or have an open night 2, and then Roman's really concerned, like, I gotta win to keep the bloodline intact, or otherwise if I lose, then everybody's on an even playing field. So there you go. Or maybe Solo tries to interfere and it doesn't quite work out. Speaking of things that won't work out, Team YU Bald, Ricochet and Braun, the Brawny Paper Strowman, taking on Street Profits, Dawkins and Ford, taking on the AA meeting, the AA meeting. You want AA, this is AAA. I'll book a trip to East St. Louis, or St. Louis, East St. Louis. Is there any other kind of St. Louis? Gable and Otis against the Raiders with Valhalla. It's a men's showcase match, a four-way tag match. Barry Mania 20. Profits win, or maybe the entire ring implodes. I don't really care. The Profits win. Liv and Raquel against Natty and Shotzi, against Sonya and Chelsea, against Rousey the Raccoon and Shayna. I wonder what Ronda Rousey thinks of what Holly Holm said. You know, that CTE-ridden bitch. Fuck Holly Holm. Wish I'd never cheered for her. You know. If you agree with Holly Holm and all that stuff and everything, then you're just as Q-ridden and CT-ridden as she is. Women's Showcase, four-way tag team match. And you know what? Liv and Raquel, I guess. They want to push Raquel later. Christ knows why. She's fucking awful. And there we are. They could have Rousey and Shayna win and challenge Becky and Lita. And maybe that's where Trish turns. Does it matter? No. No, it really doesn't. Ray and Dominic. Ray's going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame the night before, or maybe 2 nights before, depending on when they have this, because they're probably going to have this on night 2. Ray could win, and then they could have Santos turn afterwards and be like, okay, I'm going to take Dominic under my wing because you were a bad dad and you beat your kid. Or Dominic wins because Santos turned. I think Santos is going to turn, because it's been such a sudden turn for Legoland Phantasm that I think Santos is going to turn. I'm for Ray winning, but I think Dominic's going to win. And I don't care for Dominic. Other people do. He's going to take him in the Legoland Phantasm, and that means I'm going to care even less about that group. Because there are people that like Dominic, that's fine. He can cut halfway decent promos, and he has the wrestling ability of David Flair and Eric Watts now in the ring. He's not good. But Dominic will probably win. Edge and Finn, Brooding Edge, Demon Finn, Hell in a Cell. Edge wins, don't care. Gunther versus... I do like that they're putting the Hell in a Cell, rather, at least not as part of a pay-per-view, but actually using it for an alleged blood feud, even though I haven't cared about the Judgment Day feud in months. Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus, 3-way Intercontinental Championship match. Either Drew pins Sheamus, Sheamus pins Drew. Don't nobody pin Gunther. I want Gunther to retain. I think he should beat them both flat, put a foot on him, and just do this. Because Sheamus is about as over as he's going to get. Drew's is over, well, not nearly as over as he once was. And Gunther needs to break the Honky Tonk Man's record. So I'm going with Gunther. Please have Gunther win. Please have Gunther win. Break that undeserving, hillbilly twat's record. He never goddamn deserved that. So there you go. Roman with Heyman versus Cody. Undisputed WWE Universal Championship match. If Cody doesn't win, then this is worse than Luger at SummerSlam 93. And I know I said that about Drew and Roman, and actually it's kind of bore out because Drew hasn't been the same since that. Cody will win, though Brandy will probably interfere and, attack Heyman, and I'll just be like this, reminding myself that I could be doing something else rather than watching some undeserving twat that has no ability in the ring around, or being around wrestling when she has tremendous go-away heat with a lot of people. But she'll probably interfere and attack Heyman. Cody will win. He can have a string of matches. He could hold it till next year's Mania and lose. It would actually not be that bad in Roman. They could have Roman against Jay. They could have Roman against Solo. The bloodline could dissolve eventually, because you don't want the storyline to get to the point where the trickle-down effect is taking forever. You don't want to hold on to something for so goddamn long out of fear when you could end it before people get sick of it. And then you could always resurrect something at some point. Yes, it happened organically, but I really think they need to get, by SummerSlam, they need to be done with the bloodline. A lot of this stuff's going to trend to SummerSlam. I know we got Backlash and we got Money in the Bank and stuff like that, but that being said, there's going to be some big matches, there's going to be some big moments, a lot of pyro during Cody and Roman's deal, but there you go. So let me know your predictions in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rethlin. I'll see you soon.